Hello, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of In the Bay with Pestilence. Of course, I am Pestilence, and for our first deep dive into the BattleTech universe and the equipment therein, I would like to talk about the Argo, the Bay itself, our home away from home, and for some people, the home that is away from the rest of everyone else. Actually, I kind of like the Argo because of that. It's everything you would ever need. Um, the Argo is a dropship that was made by Boeing Interstellar. Boeing Interstellar is a company that is spun off of the Boeing that we know and love right here in the modern day Earth. But this Boeing makes things like aerospace fighters and heavy Omni fighters later on in its timeline, but not during the time of the Argo. They also make Leopard class dropships and Union class dropships, which I would like to see a Union class dropship compared to the Argo. In fact, I'll pull that up for later. As you can see, there is a Leopard class dropship on the side of the Argo depicted in game. It's the Leopard you start with. So, needless to say, Argo's a bit of a chunky girl, but we like him that way. All the space. Now, what do I mean by the Argo's a bit of a chunky girl? Now, this is the very thing I'm talking about because the Argo is amazing. Has a mass of 97,000 metric tons. She's not small. Mind you, most of that is empty space because whenever I was in the military, the aircraft carrier I served aboard was 88.5 thousand tons. So, modern day worship versus a make believe civilian, there's a keyword, civilian exploration ship. The length of the Argo is 320 meters long. That's from that what do we call that? That blast shield, that meteorite shield, all the way to the most rearward section of its burner cans, back there for its thrust cans. She's not a small ship, and she's longer than she is wide and tall. Now, because of these rotating assemblies, she is, circular. So I'm only going to give the measurement once because width and height are the same, of 215 meters. To give you an idea what that is like, a modern day Nimitz class carrier in the United States Navy, mind you, the Nimitz class carrier is the most common type of aircraft carrier we have, is 332.8 meters long, and the Argo is 320 meters long. Not a small ship, but unlike the U.S. aircraft carrier, the aircraft carrier is only 76 meters wide at the flight deck. That's still pretty wide. The Argo is 215 meters wide and also tall. Because remember, the three hab blocks go around and make a big circle. So, this ship is significantly bigger than a United States Navy aircraft carrier, and those are not small boats, trust me. You can literally get lost on them. It happened to me when I was a young airman. Navy Air Wing, don't at me. That being said, the Argo is an impressive ship, but it's not a military vessel. I cannot hammer this home enough. It is an exploration vessel. And I know what you're saying, Pestilence. If it's not an exploration, if it's an exploration vessel and not a military vessel, coffee.
Pour me a cup. I'll be right there.
I might join them for that coffee. Coffee. If it's not a military vessel, then why does it have mech bays? Simple answer. Agromechs. Construction mechs. Feet and legs are more stable over unpredictable, rough ground than wheels, hover skirts, or treads will ever be. And it has the facilities on board to keep 18 agromechs to their maximum tonnage, which is, corresponds to battle mechs. But here's the thing. Let's go down here to engineering. Let's look up the upgrades. This is late. This is actually past late game for me. Let's look at what we got here. Automated repair facilities. That cuts down on your manpower. And
Undeveloped sections of the Argo are off limits or
improved automation. So you got even smarter machines that can do more than before.
You don't.
Less manpower.
So stay out.
A machine shop. Literally, you broke something that we don't have any more repair parts for. It's okay. I've got some stock iron. I've got some stock steel. I will literally machine and carve out of raw metal the thing that you need to fix the MacGuffin. Outstanding stuff. And of course, my personal favorite thing as being a ex-maintainer from the military, a refit harness. Lord knows, whenever you take the leg off that battle mech, you don't want it to fall over on you. Repair scaffolding. So now you can move around the slick and sheer surfaces of these mechs without falling and hurting yourself. Now, these last two, that keeps you out of the med bay, if not away from the corner. Training modules, they got 3 of them. For new personnel, intermediate personnel, and advanced personnel. These aren't just for mechs. Granted, you can use them for mech bay training, because, carry 18 of them. You need pilots, even if those pilots are just truck drivers that are going to have to cross a river, or go through a forest, or climb a mountain, or even more scary, a volcano. But you fall down with your agromech in the wrong area, it can disable the mech or kill you. Information is worth more than ammunition, or in this case, repair facility costs. Habitat modules for supporting large amounts of crew. The drive. This thing is fast. It can pull up to 2 Gs. Consistently and maintained. 2 Gs. That's 100 and, we're just going to round it off. 200,000. Was it 200,000 tons? What was the mass? Yeah. 97,000 tons times 2. We're just going to round it up. 200,000 tons of thrust sustained for long periods of time. That This ship has it's got a good got a, it's got three main engines, but they're not small. Uh Going on, the structure obviously good enough, more than good enough to crash land on a low gravity asteroid because that's where you found the stinking thing. And the power system, they were growing a city out of the salvaged remnants of the Argo. I maintain that those pirates that you stole it from were the descendants of the survivors of that quote
Expected
unquote
position,
crash landing.
1-8. Got it. That's a
It's got
1-8
med
Argo.
bays for miles. Remember, this is supposed to be the keystone ship to a uh, um, expedition. They might be out there for, there's these planets are worthless days to weeks. Oh, hey, we need to study this. Months. Hey, we're setting up the first of a colony, or even wait for it years because we're going to terraform not just one but several of the planets in the solar system. The Argo was made to come onto grid and stay there. That's why it doesn't have its own jump drive. It it doesn't need it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Also, I would go crazy if I was sent to a desert island and told, "Hey, you got to make this place habitable." And you're not the only one there. That's a big help. You're part of a crew. You have an arcade for recreation. Hey, we got video games, we got movies, we got, they probably don't have DVDs anymore, but they have data chips with movies on them. And every time we go back to the inner sphere, we're going to download entire seasons of every TV show that we can get a hold of from Comstar. I mean, you hear it if you listen to the announcements on the Argo. They have movie night. I'm just gonna put that out there. They have a gymnasium. I don't know if that's a gerbil gym with like treadmills and stationary bikes and what do you call it, cross country ski machines, or if it's free weights or weights. I'll tell you this: aboard the carrier that I served on, we had all that stuff, and it was smaller than the Argo. We also had a bigger crew complement. We had 5,800 people, and that included the air wing, on board our ship at one time. And here the crew complement is 17 officers, 67 enlisted, 3 gunners, and 66 bay personnel. I'm sorry, but this is a tight knit family. It's an extended family, not all the same bloodline, hopefully, because fraternization, I guarantee, will happen. But that's 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 smaller than the squadron I was in, let alone the entire ship's company. And that's just the Argo. That does not include the personnel that you're sending down to the planet. That does not include the personnel on the 2 Leopard class dropships that you can carry with you. The Leopard class dropship. Let's see what their crew complement is. It is 9. Doesn't even say if it's officers or general crew. It's just 9. I'm telling you, these people are living high on the hog. They are they are going out there. They're bringing their families with them. They're not having a bad time. But let's move on. Hydroponics garden near the spine of the pods isn't sufficient for generating any real gravity. This makes these areas bad for living in, but excellent for growing hydroponic crops. And the fresh air adds variety to mealtime. You know, I guarantee you there's a lot of stored provisions that are brought along on these long duration missions. But man, oh man, having a fresh tomato straight off the vine, an apple, cherries, blackberries, carrots, lettuce. Lettuce actually spoils pretty quick. So do tomatoes. The ones that we had on board ship, the tomatoes, they were quote unquote fresh. They were freshly frozen 6 months ago. Guarantee you, just even if they only provide a supplement to their main diet, guarantee you that hydroponics makes life so much better on board. And I speak from experience. One of the first things you do when you hit shore as a sailor is go get something to eat off the local market that's fresh and didn't come from a can. The submariners had it worse. They stacked their holds completely full of food, and they even laid boxes of canned food on the deck, and they would eat their way down to the deck plates. Not kidding. Look it up. Submariners will know this is true. These guys have a library on board. Hey, you know what? We can't get the fresh the latest news from the inner sphere or even the periphery states. Read a book. Got magazines. Got comic books. Probably have an adult section. Keeping it family friendly. But I guarantee you, healthy, just having a book to read. I knew people in the military that were not readers when we were ashore. Seeing them with even a magazine in their hands, better have lots of pictures in it. Talking like Motor Trend. Well, that might even be a little too wordy for them. Four-wheel drive magazine. Super Street magazine. That kind of stuff. I saw a lot of that. But you can get all of the mental stimulation out of those magazines in less than an hour. I guarantee you they have a library in there. It's stocked full of novels, and once those books hit space, keeping them dry, that ain't hard. Just depressurize the cabin once in a while. That'll suck the moisture right out of those pages. Improved library. Oh my goodness. All kinds of ebooks. And try the vid channels. Make the library even more appealing to everybody. So they don't just have books and study materials. Or the first library upgrades is like, here's some textbooks, and here's some other books you can read. They have, live. Hey, you want to watch Family Guy from the 2000s? Well, we might even have that on DVD. They got a lounge. Now, on board the carrier I was on, that's basically what the mess deck was whenever it wasn't mealtime. It was a lounge. Go down there in between meal times, 24 hours a day. People playing dominoes, people playing poker. Of course, those chips didn't have any monetary meaning, ever. People still owe me money. Not salty at all. But I guarantee, just having that social aspect with the crew members that you don't want to blow out an airlock, that's a huge stress reliever. Guarantee it. Then they have an upgraded lounge. Got a few couches, table, drinks, 2D video screen. That's a flat screen TV nowadays. And a sound system so you can get your club on. Man, we gonna have a dance night. I guarantee you there's somebody on the crew that thinks they're a DJ and they're putting together the most god awful soundtracks. Going, hey man, check out these fresh beat. Like, sounds like that old song Sandstorm. Yeah, okay. Now this one here, I actually want to go to low G or 0G swimming pool. I'm sorry. That sounds fun. Swim up through the water, give a dolphin kick, and pop right out of the water. Look at that. Just gravity's low. Throw some water in there. Maybe a nice glass ceiling to look at the stars. Man, that's go out there with one of those inflatable floaty beds. You and your girl or guy. You can sit there for hours, just stare at the stars. Nothing's more romantic till the lifeguard comes in. But which is a thing that happens in this game. So I'm just saying, we did not have a swimming pool on board my aircraft carrier, nor did we have a hydroponics bay, nor did we have an arcade. All of that would have been a lot of fun. I guarantee you, these people are not having a horrible time aboard this ship. I mean, and not only that, that's all free. All of it's free. So moving on here. Back to the Argo. The Argo is a very large peacetime exploration ship lacking any significant weaponry and featuring only paltry armor, thrust, and maneuverability. The theoretical main defense of the Argo would be its aerospace fighters. Let's look that up. It the page here that describes the Argo doesn't talk about its aerospace fighter capacity. Gee, I wonder why. Um, the Argo though does have a cargo capacity of 57,039.5 tons. And it was obviously built to support explorer missions and help establish new colonies, thusly the agromech bays. Here we go. One of 6 of those mech bays were actually for small craft, i.e., aerospace fighters. So this Argo only carried 12 mechs, plus the ones in the dropship, and 6 aerospace fighters. That's a small fleet. It does have, as I mentioned before, it does have 3 MDCS docking collars to allow the Argo to carry a small fleet of support ships and other small craft. So let's go back to this for a second. This ship, our Argo, can carry 12 agromechs, 6 aerospace craft, 2 dropships, and the remaining docking collar ring can be used to carry to attach itself to the jump ship. Once you detach from the jump ship, you can take another drop ship and attach it to that same docking collar, and all 3 drop ships can piggyback off of the Argo. She is a beefy girl. I like her. Going into the bay with Yang. We have battle mechs in here now, but these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 2, that's 12. This is where your aggro mechs are supposed to be. It's, your diggers, your miners, your harvesting, your planters, all would be kept to establish a colony. And then you have retrofitted 6 of the bays that are supposed to have aerospace fighters in them. Oh my god. The Argo is an exploration beast. As I mentioned before though, it has meager weaponry. This Highlander, granted Starleague, this Highlander 32B has more firepower than the Argo does. Chuck this thing out an airlock and it'll put up a bigger fight. Granted at multiple ranges, but my point is still not lost. I guarantee you, if the Argo itself got into an aerospace scrap due to the fact that our aerospace fighter bays are currently filled with battle mechs, this thing is going down. Like I said, not a warship. Just a really big civilian ship. Yeah, that's about the long and the short of it. The Argo was commissioned uh, right before the American Civil War, which is why there were only 2 successfully made, and yeah, the third one was mostly built, but it was broke down for materials to build other things for the Civil War. Uh, Only 3 years after the first Argo vessel embarked on its shakedown voyage, which is it subsequently lost. The subsequent secession war made Boeing Interstellar abandon the design. So the question is if we contacted Boeing Interstellar, could we get parts? Would they even know how to make these parts? In the game, the Argo has multiple points where you are exploring the computer systems and things go awry because of the Starleague computer systems that were. We know how they work in theory. I wonder what kind of data are hidden in those memory banks. Remember, this is not. This is a. This class of dropship is so rare to begin with that they're basically unique. They're basically one-offs. I guarantee you Comstar is tracking the whereabouts of the Argo. I guarantee you the Comstar is interested in obtaining the Argo, especially
This is
now in the
bullshit announcement.
condition.
There's something very wrong with the gin you picked up
Darius,
on
please be
IRL.
quiet.
If you have any, please
Don't drink
dispose of it
don't drink the gin.
immediately. And for everyone's sake, don't drink it.
I guarantee you, since we've fixed up the Argo and repaired its armor and repaired its structure, and we got it operating again, I guarantee you Comstar wants this ship. And in fact, if Harebrained Schemes ever makes a BattleTech 2 video game, that could be a plot hook. I really think that should be a plot hook. Chasing down the Argo and saying, hey, we want to buy your ship from you, and dissect it. Now, granted, the Helm Memory Core was released right after the game main storyline ends. So they pretty much have all that stuff figured out. Now you just have something really old and cool where I am in the game right now. But this ship is still, even though it's not a military vessel, it's so large and so well built for long-term, long-range exploration that a light military unit like, in my game it's Tatsuya, the Mark of the Dragon, this would be a huge boon to anybody doing small military operations, even though it's not a military vehicle. As compared to other dropships, this ship, as you can see it, here's the main bridge and operations. The barracks are more roomy than other military barracks. I mean, look, they're only sleeping, two high here, one here, and then the rack lifts up here for storage, and then you have lockers along the wall. These guys are not that cramped. Of course, we've gone over the mech bays. 6 of them are for aerospace fighters. The other 12 are for agromechs, but a mech bay is a mech bay is a mech bay. The aerospace fighters, though, I have questions because that's usually more long and wide than it is tall. So I have a few questions there, but bays are bays are bays. Engineering, look at that. This reminds me of, well, I mean, in a way, it reminds me of like a shadow of actual engineering from our ship. The main structural rods and support structure for the ship are visible. Navigation reminds me of the navigation bridge on board my aircraft carrier. They had a map that was a lot like this. Wasn't see-through, but I'll take it where I can get it. And of course, the captain's quarters. This is freaking roomy. This is freaking roomy. Anytime you think of captain's quarters and they show a large room, they're lying to you. I was invited by the executive officer of my ship just to see how big the room was. Granted, he had a lot more room than I did,
The lights in the aft maintenance
but
chamber are flickering again.
his
Again? Hang
quarters
on, I'll send someone
with
down.
his private office and his bed And all that was still smaller than my childhood bedroom growing up. Everything's very compact. You know, you need to think like like a RV type small. Uh, Although you know you don't have a crew to come along and clean up after you. Anyway, this is my review of the Argo. The Argo is an amazing vessel for a civilian exploration vessel. I love it. Just goes to show you how far the inner sphere fell in technology when a civilian exploration vessel, although be it a large one, can change the destination of an interstellar state on the military stage. The Argo single-handedly changed the Arano restoration. It carried and maintained Star League era technology from over 500 years prior and was key in the Arano restoration. The Argo class dropship, I guarantee, if they ever start writing BattleTech novels again, since this game is considered canon, I guarantee there will be more Argo class vessels, especially after the Hell Memory Core was reintroduced. What was it? The 3026, I believe it was. So there's, in theory, be exceedingly expensive, mind you, but in theory, there's nothing in the Argo that cannot be reproduced as of the end of the timeline in this game. It's just that this is the grand old man.
Secure all.
I know I've gone on for quite a while on the Argo, so I'm just going to cut it there. I love the Argo. Still not a military vessel, but its technology is just so far above where the rest of the inner sphere and periphery is that it it just sets the technological mark. This has been the inaugural episode of In the Bay with Pestolents. I have been Pestilence. This has been the Argo. I'll see you next time.